Prashad, I thank Vidyan Prashad. Of course, I am part of Vidyan Prashad for having permitted me to present this topic, which is not my strength. But nevertheless, Professor Godse told me, yes, we can present it. I am very happy that you allowed me to present this topic. Now, very name itself, Vijnana Prashad, I would like to tell something about Vijnana. See, in Indian culture, there are some words which are non-translatable. Vijnana is not science. Vijnana in Indian culture means something else. Jnana is knowledge, which is got by sight and tuition. In contrast to Vijnana, which is beyond the perception of the senses. So, if you want to Jnana comes by insight, in contrast to Jnana, which comes by sight. Jnana comes by tuition, whereas Vijnana comes by intuition. That is the difference between science and Vijnana or Indian concept. Science, European concept is or literature or Indian system of education. So that's why our Vijnana is in insight and intuition. Just to give an example, Newton saw the apple falling down. Everyone thought it falling down. Senses tell that it is falling down. But it was in his intuitional insight that showed that there is something attracting it in gravity. So that is what is Vijnana is about. Vijnana in Indian context is about. It is not just as the dictionary tells, science is organized knowledge. But Indian Vijnana is something more than that. It is beyond the perceptual senses we have. Now, why I chose this topic? Since last few months, I have been interacting in some WhatsApp groups, and I saw all the discussions of social sciences were concentrated, or they were quoting only European authors, American authors. So wondering what is this? Why Indian authors or Indian scientists or Indian writers are not there? I talked to various subjects, teachers of various subjects, and most of them agree that most of the social sciences are based in the European thoughts. However, there is something writing in Indian context. So this talk, when I started looking at the internet, this talk was mainly influenced by YouTube's by Mr. Rajiv Malhotra, Dr. Suhana Singh, and Raj Vedant, and other things that are quoted. This talk was influenced by these things. Now the paradox. Indian civilization is it, but we have positioned otherwise. We are the knowledge producers, but we are positioned otherwise. Strong index sources and references, but we ignored them, devalued them, and discredited them. So, if you ask a student, name scientists, immediately they will tell Newton, Archimedes, Edward Jenner, Joseph Priestley, so on and so forth. None of us have been taught to talk about Vagbhata, Bhaskara, Aryabhata, Charaka, Sushruta. I don't think we also give these names because it is the way we have been taught. Now, there is one YouTube, I think, by Mr. previously. This one, Raj Vedam and Sahana Singh. I request all of you to see this YouTube to know better than what I am talking. And he has written Untold Story of India. that India is very ancient. This was evidences have got the evidences from politics, astronomy, archaeology, literary sources, knowledge transfers. This is very important. Last one is knowledge transfers. I will show you how the knowledge got transferred and came back to India later on. So it is not just a that we are Indians who would like to praise our Indian independence. No, it is based on genetics, astronomy, and in fact, all of you remember, we were taught that the Aryans came from Central Asia, which has been proved to a greater extent that it is no more exist. We were very much Indian. All Vedic literature is very much Indian. And Indian civilization has cultural memory of 24,000 years. This cultural memory is very important. Casually, all of us remember many things which our parents have told. We have not by-hearted them. They are there in our memory. So, India has got a very rich cultural memory, and India has produced knowledge in many fields. This is again from that Raj Vedam's talk, how Indian knowledge outflew from India from pre-Pythagoras to colonial period. In fact, it is said Pythagoras came to India. He studied in Kanchipuram, and there he got quite a good amount of knowledge that he learned from Kanchipuram ashrams is that the teacher was sitting in the center and the students were sitting in the semicircle. The person very close to the teacher, the semicircle close to the teacher, was the one who has graduated gradually to reach that particular stage. It is not the students who are sitting randomly. The last one was the newcomer, the first one meant for this. In fact, it is said that Pythagoras took many from here, and one of this is Gurukula teaching in semicircles. So now the flow, the knowledge of India has flown to different parts of the world. This is how it has been proved, again, I repeat, genetically, archaeologically. Transmission of Greek knowledge. It went to Greek Rome, destroyed by the Christians. Then again, Muslims and Arabics consolidated it. Ultimately, it ended in Europe, Latin. Some travelers also many knowledge from India, moved on to Europe, reached Europe, it was repackaged, the rest of any recitation came back to India as European thoughts, European inventions. Now you must have heard in history or learned in history that Indian culture moved on to Eastern countries, China, Korea, Japan, but there is no mention of Indian history or Indian culture moved beyond Afghanistan. So why it is so? It is not it didn't go. Our colonial rulers and European travelers just blocked it in our history. So there is a loss of continuity. They set a stage for distortion, errors, and widespread devaluation and discrediting the Indic sources. Loss of continuity in the past has led to the loss of history of our great civilization. Now this is a wonderful slide by Angus Madison, who died in 2010. He has made the contribution of different countries of the world from 1000 from the first century till 2003. You can see here this India was contributing more than 30% to the global GDP. As you can see here, it was reducing, and by the time Britishers came in 1700, it went on decreasing. Ultimately, it reached such a stage in 2003, less than 10%. That means India had knowledge of everything, not just indigenous. It was moving towards the outside India and contribute to the gross domestic production. So this is where we are made out. We are aware of this. We are made aware of this for us again. And you have to be, my intention of this particular talk is, everybody, whether he is a science student or art student, his language, at least now we should wake up and try to study our ancient history and see how we can contribute. The problem is, most of the ancient literature is in Sanskrit. That is the major problem. But fortunately, there are so many sites in the internet. In fact, IIT Kanpur has put a super site wherein Bhagavad Gita, all the verses are translated by different authors. In English it is available. All the Upanishads are available. We will not be knowing Sanskrit, but this secondary data itself will be useful. I think this is my main earnest request to the participants to infuse a study of the ancient literature that we have. Now, Maharshi Vyasa was the first person who undertook the gigantic project of compiling all that knowledge into 4 Vedas that were still in the form of Smriti. They were only memorized, there was no written document. Hence we call him as Vedavasa. He wrote the epic Mahabharata, which has got about 1.8 billion words. It is about 10 times the length of Iliad and Odyssey. Maharshi Valmiki and Vedavasa are the founding fathers of the documentation of ancient Indian history and are the original historians. Our Vedic literature or education was suffused with knowledge which consists of both individual growth and collective good. This is very important. If you look at the European thoughts, it is only individual growth, collective good is not there. No intervention of divinity is allowed in their thoughts.
Dr. Hiremath, doctor, please, doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gangadhar here. We are unable to make out your voice. It's cracking, please. Could you adjust? Your voice is breaking.
Voice is breaking?
Yeah. Sorry bothering you.
Now, is it clear? Is it audible?
Yeah, it's slightly better. You can use this, please. You continue speaking. We'll let you know. We'll let you know. You continue speaking, please.
Thank you. Now, this oft repeated sloka in every schools during our school days and as a education song many times. That is Satoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now, the literal meaning of this in English is very untruth to truth, from darkness to light, from mortality to immortality. But it is not, as I have been telling earlier, most of the words in Sanskrit are non-translatable. Here, untruth is not the truth as we presume to be, say, from Mahatma Gandhi or such. Here, the truth refers to, the untruth refers to the things that we are able to see with our feel or see with our eyes, with our senses, that is untruth, to the ultimate truth, which is beyond our senses. That is what they mean. Darkness, untruth to truth means it is our progress from the material world to the supra-physical world. Now, tamasoma jyotirgamaya. Tamas is darkness, jyoti is light. This is not a simple, it is simple translation, but it is from our cultural point of view, from ignorance to the enlightenment. Ignorance to the enlightenment. These are the nearest word that we can put here. Mortality to immortality. So no one has remained immortal here. Then what this is trying to tell us? If no one is immortal, it is trying to tell us that you must have the feeling when you are there that I am soul. I am immortal. Soul is immortal. And last one is Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti in English we just casually translate it to peace. No, Indian context, Shanti includes so many facets, multi-dimensional peace within. So our entire education system is based on this. Now this is another verse. Jamana jayate shudraha, saad bhavet dvijaha, vedaphatat bhavet vipraha, brahmam janati iti brahmanaha. This tells us that ancient Indian, we never bothered about the caste system. Janmana jayate shudraha means by birth we are Shudra. Shudra here does not mean any caste. Shudra is the one who is unaware of anything. So by birth we are Shudra. And samskara. Samskara in English we call, just translate it as culture, but it has got broader meaning in Indian context. Sanskara bhavet dvijaha means ours is the second birth with sanskara. Now sanskara, I tell name of two persons, you will understand what is sanskara. Dr. Abdul Kalam, our first president, a scientist. This is one name. Another one is Dawood Ibrahim. You know what is no sanskara is. This itself tells us, when you name a person, you will know what that person is. That is the second birth. This sanskara comes, it is inherited, it comes from the parents, it comes from the society, it is not to be taught in the class. In class, something else is taught. Sanskarat dvija uchyate or bhavet dvijaha. Veda patat bhavet vipraha. Vipra is, we usually use Vipra and Brahmana as synonymous, but it is not. The person who has studied, who is educated is Vipra. The only person who knows Brahma is Brahmana. So, from this we can make out there was no caste system. There was no caste system at all. Everyone is born ignorant. With samskara, it is the second janma. When he takes up education, he becomes Vipra. So these are the aims of the education. Then, to provide a training for performance of their social, economic and religious duties. All these were included as a part of education, not just rote learning. Preservation and enrichment of culture, character and personality. Cultivation of noble ideas. So morality was also part of it. Social commitment, religious duties, and medium of instruction, as we all know by now, that it was Sanskrit, and Buddhist, it was Pali. This particular slide shows us that there were two sections, not two sections, actually both were taught together. Paravidya, very much materialistic knowledge required for a person to lead his life peacefully in the society, Paravidya, and Aparavidya. Both, the tenets of both were taught to the pupil. Out of those, most of the people went towards, they took up material knowledge, they went out of the Gurukul system and they started leading their life. They were householders anyway. But only few of them went towards further study of spiritual wisdom, though those were the people who were in the innermost circle of the Gurukul Ashrama system. Those were to later become the gurus. So there was always, both things were taught in equal proportion. And it is seen that they are not mutually exclusive. Both were together taught, but only those who wanted to go further, they went in spiritual move, others went in the. Now, what about the people who went to Paravidya mode? They went to become householders. Can they not move to the Aparavidya or put an arrow, very crooked arrow? That is a purpose for it. Next, we will see it is possible for a person with Paravidya also move towards Aparavidya. We have heard of Shashtabdi. Many of us have heard of Shashtabdi. Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah. It's better. Doctor, it's better now.
Okay.
You are audible now, better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep the same volume.
Yeah. So we have heard of people performing Shashtabdi when a man reaches 60 years. I don't think many of us know why it was done. It shows, this pyramid shows how a person has to move towards spiritual life even after being a householder. Very first 12 years of childhood, in childhood, this sanskara bhavet dvijaha, I told you in the second verse. In 12 years, he is imbibing the sanskara from his parents, from his neighbors, from the society in his childhood. He is free to move around, get everything from the society and his household members. Those days there were joint families, great grandfathers, father. So 12 years was meant for that. Next 12 years of adolescence, it was rigorous learning in brahmacharya. Brahmacharya, usually we connect it with celibacy. No. Brahmacharya, rigorous learning, involved swadhyaya, self-study, manana, contemplation. Today I have been taught a particular topic. I have to sit and contemplate. Suppose they are taught about a cow. So what is cow? What is its nature? A tree is told, a plant is told, society, some moral ethics are told. We have to sit and contemplate. And nididhyasa. Nididhyasa refers to constant dwelling on the topic which you have chosen for that particular day. And after doing all these three stages, you will have your own sakshatkara. Now, there are many teachers in this group. You will agree with me. When you started your career to teach some topic, the same topic after 10 years, you'll be teaching it in a better way because you have gone through it, self-study, contemplation, and constant dwelling has made you mature in that particular topic. I hope you agree with this. That is sakshatkara. So this 12 to 24 years, it was adolescent age. And at 24, this a person completes materialistic knowledge plus spiritual knowledge. Now the deviation takes place. Now I'm talking about only the householder. The spiritual person has gone other way now. He is pursuing his spiritual aspirations. Now from 24 years, another 12, from 24 to another 24, 12 years, here adolescence, he has become reached age 24. Now another 24 years, he has to lead a life of householder. He has to take up, look after, he gets married, he gets children, look after children, look after his family, his contribution to the society, all these he does for 24 years. Now, after he completes 24 years as a householder, he will enter the phase of sannyasa. That is for 12 years. So, at this time, he is supposed to leave the family to go out of his comfort zone, to keep on moving in the world, and maybe he has to go to forest also in contemplation. And here, he does what is called as non-attachment. Now, I'd like to put a question which some of you can answer at the end of the question. The difference between non-attachment and detachment. I'll ask the answer later on. Now, he has to develop non-attachment by going out of the house. Now, it is said it is by memory again, nothing recorded. Before going, he has to take the permission of his wife because he has married and he is committed to her. He is supposed to take the permission of his wife to go for sannyasa. Without her permission, he cannot go because the chances that he may not come back were there those days. So the wife has to give permission. Once the wife gives permission, he goes out as a sannyasi. Now, after leaving this family, they are traveling or in the forest. What they do? He spent these 12 years in contemplation of life led by him so far. What all he achieved in his life, what all he did, and also at the same time, he indulges in spiritual pursuits. His intention is to return. There is nothing that he wants to return. However, he may become a prey for animals in the forest or he may die of disease. He has to take up this phase, of course, I told with the permission of his wife. And after 12 years traveling and staying life in the forest, he comes back. So as a celebration, now he's 60 years old. At the age of 48 years either, he came back at the 60. He came back at the age of 60. He is now, that's why Shastabdi is celebrated. In fact, Mangala Sutra is again tied to the wife. That is indication that he lived a life of widow for 3 years. These are just indications, these are just formalities of those days. Forget all the formalities. Look at the purpose behind this sannyasa ashrama. Now, why he has to come back? He has to come back because he had, up to the age of 48 years, he had both, he had education, he had a householder's life. Now, 12 years, he has led life in contemplation of his past life. He is more mature person, lot of wisdom. He has to come back to his children who are now 36 years old. If at all they require some guidance, he has to give them the guidance. So that's why Shastabdi is celebrated. Now after this, Vanaprasthashrama, after 60, spending many years with his children, grandchildren, those days, some of them, if not all, some of them felt or developed non-attachment towards life. Again, I'm using the word non-attachment, not detachment, towards the life. And some of them feel like move to the forest, never to return, this time never to return. This time he is going with his wife. This is one of Prasthashrama. So this is how even a holder who stops his spiritual studies from ashrama comes out, but he has got still way to go to the Paravidya or Aparavidya, that is spiritual person. Now, this yoga, Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga, is everyone knows it, but everyone tells yoga classes means pranayama is taught and asana is taught, and the most dharana is taught. Out of these 8, as I put there, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, these are all external entities. This can be taught by a person. Yama, Niyama, Pratyahara have to be enforced by an individual. Yama, Niyama, and Pratyahara, that is abstinence, observance, and withdrawal, has to be individually practiced. Our elders tell so many things. My teacher used to tell me, Sanskrit teacher used to tell me, Dashavadana Purvam Shayam Gaccha, means go to the bed before 10 o'clock. Panchavadana Purvam Shayam Teja, get out of the bed before 5 o'clock in the morning. These are the things which are taught. Whether we listen or not, whether we follow it or not, it is again very much individualistic. Asana, pranayama, dharana can be taught by an expert. All these can be taught by an expert. The next stage, dhyana, happens to a person who has got intense aspiration. All these lay the foundation for meditation, but meditation cannot be taught. I'm very sorry to tell, there are meditation classes happening around. No, meditation cannot be taught. It is an individual growth. Up to concentration, some are own practices, which can be taught by the expert. But meditation happens to a person. It is individual, he must have individual aspiration, then only meditation happens to a person. It cannot be taught. Final stage of samadhi, again I have written there question mark. I have not translated because it is a non-translatable word. They say trance. Trance can be had with so many other chemical substances also. So this samadhi is not translated, is a non-translatable Sanskrit word. The uniqueness of ancient education, that is two types of vidyas, paravidya, aparavidya, which I have already talked about. Moksha, emancipation, that is, I hope you understand what is moksha, that is punarapi jananam, punarapi mananam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, bhajago bindam, Adi Shankaracharya told, I don't want to take birth after birth and be in the womb of the mother. Please relieve me from this rebirth. This is not again against the rebirth. I'll talk about this later on. Second, doctrine of karma was very much taught with all intensity so that we know that what we perform today, we have to reap the benefits. This is very much part of our life. It is very much there in our memory. Each one of us know it very well. That is our Indian culture. Now the death. Death was considered as the central fact of life. Now, if you look at some of the philosophers of India, especially Sri Aurobindo, he tells death serves the purpose of life. So, contradictory terms, death serves the purpose of life. Now, what is the purpose of life? The second point, that is moksha, is emancipation, is the central requirement of life. So, why death is required? Because whatever I told you to reach samadhi or final stage, it is not possible for a person of 100 years old to achieve that particular stage. So death is essential so that a person dies, comes up with a new body and continues from where he left in the previous birth to reach the final stage, that is becoming divine. That is what. How to become God, how to be divine. So death was never a negative in Indian civilization. It serves the purpose of life. Chitta vritti nirodha, ayurveda pratyahara, yama, niyama, all those that comes in this. And all the education took place. There were no classrooms. It was all natural surroundings. It was taking place around the natural surroundings. The subject of study. Curriculum was based on the needs of the life and needs of the society. Second part is very important. Needs of the society was more important. Main subjects of the study were, of course, 4 Vedas, Vedangas, Upanishads, 6 Darshanas, Puranas, Tarka Shastra, etc. Of course, Buddhist system of education, it was 3 Pitakas. I don't know much about these. What is Pitakas? But it is not exclusive. They also study requiring comparative knowledge of Indian civilization. In ancient education, we cannot equate with Hindu education. Finally, remember. Yes?
Excuse me, doctor, your voice again getting cut. Initially it was bad, in the middle it became better, and now it's again distorted. Probably you're holding your mic far away from your mouth. Can you just pull it up more?
I'm very close, but somehow the internet problem is there. It is
maybe if you have a weak connection, that might affect that also. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, please.
So grammar, arts, craft, medicine, logic, philosophy constituted the general scheme of studies for laymen of all sects. Of course, there were specialized subjects of study: Dharma Shastra, arithmetic, ethics, arts, architecture, military, performing arts, etc. Now, in those days, majority of the people earn their livelihood by following various professions. There were 64 professions, which include weaving, dyeing, spinning, tanning the leather, manufacture of boats, chariots, the elephants, horses, jewelry making, making the implements, equipments, art of dance, music, agriculture, so on and so forth, medical science, veterinary science, a chemist, person who prepared the perfumes. In general, the children used to go on in the field which his father was, his father, great grandfather was. They are following the same profession what they were doing. Many times they did not go to the formal system. They are continuing the traditional farming or traditional work that they were doing. They used to work under a master for a number of years, that is apprenticeship, and gained expertise in their respective professions. Those who didn't have any educational guidance in their house, they have to go under master for many years. And modern concept that we do now, what we understand from the today, that is learning by doing, was there in the ancient system of education. And for them, life was the laboratory. Everything they gained, whatever they learned, they used to experiment in the life and come to their sakshatkara. That is their own vijnana, looking at the things, what they did, how it works in the society. So the life itself was a laboratory. Another way of learning ability was begging alms by the pupils. The students used to go or being alms toward the villages, bring the food and feed themselves and feed the fellow students. Methods of learning. Memorization was the beginning, or initially it was only by memory. Learning by heart the sacred books through indefinite repetition, that is indulgence, and rehearsal by both the teacher and the taught. It was not just the student to memorize, even the teacher along with him was memorizing. Critical analysis. In this critical analysis, the teacher was also involved, not just the students. The discussion was, the critical analysis always took between the students and the teachers. It was not student alone. And the students' views were also taken into consideration for the final outcome of a particular topic. Introspection, that is Shravana, listening, contemplation, Nididhyasa, and these were the ways of introspection. Storytelling, this is a very important part of storytelling, was important part because many moral characters were casually taught to students in the form of stories. I remember many stories, Panchatantra stories, you must have read it during your childhood. They were really not just stories for the sake of stories, they had some spiritual, social, and ethical meaning. So, storytelling. Question and answer method, of course. In fact, the teaching started with questions, and students were asked to answer their own way without teaching the topic. It was the question which was put. They have to find the answers, come to the teacher, and discuss with him, and they get knowledge, first-hand knowledge. This particular knowledge used to get imprinted in their memory. They never used to forget. And their hands-on methods, if it is requires some methods, certain technologies, hands-on, then seminars were conducted. The students also gained a lot by discussion and debate. Discussion debates also had a particular pattern. It was not just someone comes, presents some few questions are asked. So it was a very rigorous seminar. Teachers. Acharya was a teacher who taught the people Vedas without charging the fees from pupils. He never used to take money. Upadhyaya was one who adopted teaching as a profession. We always take all these as synonyms, but they are different. So Upadhyaya, teaching was a profession to earn his livelihood, and he didn't teach everything. He taught only portion of Vedas or Vedangas or materialistic. Charakas, these are the scholars who were wandering. They toured the country in the quest of higher knowledge. Not normally competent teachers. Charakas were not competent teachers. Need not be. They could be, need not be. They were just interested in gaining the knowledge from different parts, and they were regarded as the source of the knowledge because they could travel and garner a lot of support. Guru was the one who led a grihastha life. He was a householder and earned his livelihood on imparting education to his disciples and maintaining his family. His children were bringing everything for me. He was not charging. He was not taking money from them. Like the Upadhyaya, for him it was a profession. Guru, it was not a profession, but he used to get things in the form of kind from his pupils. Next one is Yojana Satika, a specialist. Now we have technologists, we have got dermatologists, we have got so many eye specialists. So Yojana Satika was a specialist in particular subject. So people used to come to their place whenever they want some specialization. Shikshaka, Bhikshu and Sadhus. 12th time, whose travel catalog is very well, we are aware of it, he came, was struck with knowledge gained by some of his wandering teachers called as Bhikshus or Sadhu. They also were given, of course, they didn't have a organized setup to, they were moving Bhikshus, Sadhus. They were also the treasure of knowledge by constant travel, and he used to gladly impart it to others who seek them, not just go teaching any and everybody. Those who seek them, they came to them, they used to give the knowledge. And I forgot the period of study, it was 12 years, 24 years, 36 years, or 48 years, depending upon what is his aim in life. The period of study was changed. And there was one Samavartana graduation ceremony. After this, that graduation ceremony was called as Samavartana. We call now it as a convocation, but the convocation was not as our concept we are having these days. Samavartana had only to make the people prominent in the public. Means the teacher first has to assure himself, this fellow is going to be a scholar, he is going to take my tradition ahead. So only those people who were in the innermost circle I have drawn here were subjected to Samavartana, wherein gurus from other institutions, distinguished personnel of the local community, put question to the people to test his scholarship. So only when he comes out of this particular question session, he was called as, Samavartana is over. Now, one interesting fact about seating arrangement, semicircular seating, I told you in the beginning, the ones who have very much studied hard, reach the spiritual progress also will be very close to the teacher, the inner circle, the number of students is very few there. And as you go away from the center towards the last, the number of students increases. This particular arrangement schemes was noticed by Pythagoras when he visited Kanchipuram in those days. And when he went back, he started eating nuts and fruits, and he was ridiculed there because they were all non-vegetarians those days. They were. This person, Pythagoras, after going back from Kanchipuram, he not only used this method of semicircle, he started eating only nuts and fruits for his survival. Now we talk about empowering women and all. It is there in our culture since ancient times. Women learned the art of housekeeping. Yes, that is the primary duty. Also learned music and dancing. They were also taught Vedas and Vedangas. There were two classes of educated women there also. Sadyavadvahas and Brahmavadinis. This first category, Sadyavadvahas, were going to lead householders' life, getting married and using their knowledge again to rear their children. Whereas Brahmavadinis were again spiritual seekers. We have what women sages called, they were called as Rishikas, seers like Gosha, Apala, Lopamudra, Vishwavara, Indrani, etc. We also find scholarly women like Maitreya and Gargi taking part in public debates and discussions with the philosophers and sages. Educational institutions. Gurukul was the house of a teacher who was a settled householder. He was a married man. After the initiation ceremony, a child would leave his natural parents and reside in the house of his preceptor or guru till the end of his studies. Next, parishads. Here they enrich themselves through discussions and discourses. Vijnana Parishad, we are having here now discussion and discourses. Being a seat of learning, they were originally conducted by those days very well pre-educated Brahmins. Here again, Brahmin, I don't go by the caste, it is by the Brahmam Janati Brahmanam. Gostis are conferences. Such conference held by very famous King Janaka is known for it, and Yajnavalkya is a well-known rishi who won 1,000 cows in that particular conference. It was a prize of the conference, best presentation or best argument. He won 1,000 cows with horns decorated with gold. So King Janaka was known for holding such conferences. Ashramas or hermitages where students from distant parts of the country flocked together. Gurukula was meant for only local, whereas ashramas were students were attracted from different parts of the country. Vidyapita was an institution for spiritual learning founded by great Acharyas Sri Shankara in places like Sringeri, Kanchi, Dwarka, Puri and Badri. Next is Gatikas, was an institution of highest learning where both the teachers and the staff met and discussed, where by the clash and contact of the cultured scholars, the highest knowledge could be obtained in religious literature. So Gatikas where it was the scholars met, discussed mutually each other's way of religion, religious literature, and they learned with each other. Agaras, you know very well, it is a settlement of Brahmin villages where they used to teach. Mathas, you know very well, where the pupils used to reside, receive instructions both religious and secular. See, this is very important, religious and secular. Contradictory terms. These days we use the word in secular in different ways, but in Mathas it was religious and secular education they used to get in. Usually these maths were normally attached to some temple, had some temple attached to them. Brahmapuri again is a settlement of learned Brahmins in the parts of the town cities or in only selected areas where education was important. Viharas, of course, you know very well, viharas are Buddhist viharas or Buddhist monasteries where all subjects concerned with Buddhism and its philosophy were taught. Now the standard of education. The quality of education imparted in ancient India was unparalleled. Hence, in spite of various hardships and hurdles, students from different parts of the world flocked to Indian universities. Amir Khusru, in, died in 1325 AD, mentions that scholars have come from different parts of the world to study in India, but no Indian scholars have found it necessary to go abroad to acquire knowledge. Indian scholars were in great demand abroad. Hence, the rulers then sent embassies to India to procure Indian scholars. Not only that, there are some records that some Indian scholars went to China. They translated the Indian literature into Chinese. Some of them settled there, in fact, some of them changed their name to Chinese names. Astronomical treatises like Brahma Siddhanta, Khanda Kadyaka of Brahmagupta were also there. As a home of Indian scholars, the wisdom ancient India produced scores of Indians on various subjects. Buddha and Shankara, philosophy; Kautilya, political science and administration; Shishruta, surgery; Chaka, medicine. You can see all those, you must have heard by now all the names. I am very happy these days these names are being heard. And lastly, we know very well the concept of zero was contribution of ancient Indians. And our ancient Indian technology of building the temples is world famous. Temples in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, to name a few, the expertise of Indians is very high. Now, funding of higher education, kings were patronizing the education. They had one very learned person in their court. You call it Jyotishi, Rajyotishi, or whatever name you call. There was a learned man who was guiding the king how to patronize, how to fund the education. Nalanda was funded by the revenues of 100 villages. So the hermitage or Gurukula was given some villages. Whatever revenue comes from that village would go to that Gurukula system. So there is no students received food, clothes, everything in Nalanda. But to get admission in Nalanda was not a small task. It was probably in ashramas, rich students were made pay. Poor students met their needs by doing menial tasks in the society, and they also solicited the help from the householders. Ethos of ancient India expected Brahmins for knowledge without amassing the wealth. See, this without amassing the wealth is very important. The needs of a scholar were taken care by the society. The scholar who is a teacher never bothered about what future of children is. The society is to take care of this. That was the ethos of ancient India. It was the duty of the families and farmers to support those who devoted their entire lives to learning and teaching. Now, after having reaching the glory of the ancient Indian civilization, we come to the decline. Nalanda burnt, it said, it was burnt. It took 3 months burning to do all that. Kannauj and Kali looted and plundered. Vedic system of education found patronage in other peninsula like Hampi, in Kanchi, because the system was getting the invaders were destroying. They came down to South India, Hampi, Srinagar, and Kanchi. And the Vijayanagar Empire, which everyone knows, great empire, Vedic scholars like Sayana and Madhava wrote commentaries on Vedas. It was in the south that Ramanujacharya, Basaveshwara, and Madhavacharya propounded philosophy. With regard to the vocational system of education, many crafts and skills were introduced in India after the advent of Muslims. Cannot say just they were invaders. There are many things introduced by them also. Until establishment of British rule in India, many industries like textile manufacturing, shipbuilding, jewelry making, and other allied industries flourished, which shows the skill and expertise Indians had in the turn of knowledge they had received from other teachers. The product of Indian industries not only filled the needs of Asian and African countries, but were also in great demand in the markets of Europe. So this is a decline. I'll talk about this later on a little more if I get time. This is the one who has been oft quoted by everybody, Max Muller. Just listen to his wordings. The country most richly endowed with all the wealth, power, and beauty, nature to a paradise on earth in India. Fully developed mind. This you have to stress here. Fully developed mind. It was not just the skills. Mind was very well developed, which has found solutions on greatest problems of life. So here the spirituality comes. He was talking about spirituality. Its literature can make our inner life more perfect. Yes, again spirituality here. More comprehensive, more universal, in fact, more truly human. Life not for this life only, but a transfigured and eternal life. Mrityorma amritam gamaya, eternal life. So this is what Max Muller told about this. We feel very happy to know that this fellow has told like this. He is a German, settled in United Kingdom, came to India, studied Vedas, learned Sanskrit, studies Vedas. So we are happy that someone has studied and talks so high about it. Now let's see what he talks later on. Max Muller. India has been conquered once. But India again, and that second conquest should be conquest by education. This is a very, 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 very thing which happened during those colonial periods, and that's what Britishers did. And unfortunately, till today, many things we are continuing that. And the next person who put the last nail was Lord Macaulay. His famous Minutes on Indian Education asserted that all the books in the Sanskrit language is less valuable than what may be found in the most poetry abridgment used in preparatory schools in England. See how degrading he degraded our education. So this Lord Macaulay did this, and that's how Britishers introduced the system of education to suit their purpose of ruling over India. Now I must say here, after Lord Macaulay or during his time, there was one more person, Lord Wesley.
Hello, doctor. Doctor, please.
Yeah.
Your presentation has gone, like something happened. You please present again. We are not able to see.
This Max Muller onwards.
Yeah.
This particular slide.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Max Muller's next slide you take.
Max
After
Muller,
Max Muller. Share it.
Not getting here.
No, no. You again have to use the presentation wala mode. Presentation.
I'll end show and go back to presentation. Anything?
No,
Hello?
No,
no,
not yet.
no.
Not yet.
What has happened to this now? I think that was the last slide in my film.
Two more are there, sir.
Slide 27. Slide number 27.
Okay, I'll back home. I'll go home and come back. Let me see. Why this one is? There is something popping up which is preventing me from sharing this.
Do you have any other office? Probably this is not the licensed version, so it is not allowing you to show more than some particular amount.
Maybe. Yeah.
Anyway.
It is not allowing me to share. Let me see whether I can do it in my mobile.
No, okay, sir. You are come to almost end of your talk.
That is end of my talk, more or less. I can tell it again. That's all.
It's all right, sir. You can conclude, sir.
Ultimately, to show some slides of intensive universities, that is not a big thing. And concluding is that so to conclude, I would say Nalanda was destroyed in order to impose Muslim rendering of God and faith. They converted artisans. After Muslim, it was the turn of Britishers to denounce everything of Indian education and philosophy. That was second and decisive attack to destroy Indian education system and the philosophical thoughts. Until then, Indian system of education was holistic, that included materialistic and world beyond. So in midway through, there was dominance of priestly community. This happened in every religion. Emergence of the perilous phase in the emergence of priestly community, who converted the teachings into religion. That is the greatest thing that happened in every religion. And there were some disgruntled elements in the society, and untouchability had crept in. This aspect was first misused and exaggerated by Lord Risley. He was the one who applied the so-called scientific racism in 1890. He divided the entire country into 7 races, which he called them as scientific, but he divided on the basis of the structure of the nose, color of the skin, so many such parameters. And it was first racist census was done 1890. Census of India was first done in 1890. Unfortunately, we are following the same pattern even now. And this census gave rise to caste system in India, and that helped them to divide and rule. Unfortunately, that caste-based census continues today, and Indian community stands divided on the basis of caste system. Risley was also responsible for Aryan and Dravidian divide, which has been disproved on. On the academic side, ancient Indian curriculum of education was also targeted. Everything of Indian was inferior, and thus came the influence of superficial and materialistic Western thoughts. Western thoughts, as compared to Indian thoughts, were devoid of any philosophy. If you look at Mr. Saint-Simon, who is called as, he's a European, he's called as the father of social sciences. For him, everything is matter, life is matter, so there is no question of divinity in this. So he is called as father of social sciences. Later on Comte came, later on Karl Marx, all these people, they never took into account the other aspect, supra-physical aspect of a human being, and that was introduced in India by the Britishers. Unfortunately, Even after independence, the terms secularism, minority community, women empowerment became the USP of so-called Western influenced Indians. Unfortunately, such people are funded by Westerners to denounce Indian way of life and spirituality. However, we Indians lead a life of spirituality, although not to the extent expected by our scriptures. Thank you very much.